The Speaker of the House, John Boehner, trying to quell a backlash from some conservatives over a fix to Obamacare. Welcome to this hour of Happening Now. I'm John Scott.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna Lee. And House lawmakers voted to get rid of a cap on deductibles for some plans, which gives small businesses more flexibility in the plans they can offer. That change was included in a provision in a Medicare bill. Some call it a hidden provision, but it was very much in the bill. After this all happened, critics say the GOP expanded Obamacare with that fix. And now Speaker Boehner's office is disputing that account. Our chief congressional correspondent, Mike Emanuel, is live with more on this quote-unquote controversy within the GOP. So, Mike, let's start with Speaker Boehner. What is Speaker Boehner saying about this adjustment to the health care law?
Well, Jenna, Republicans were hearing from the business community concerns about those caps, if you will, on those small group policies, healthcare policies, and so they slipped into a fix of the way Medicare is reimbursed, this fix of the policy caps. And so our colleague Megyn Kelly asked House Speaker John Boehner about this repair.
There's probably been 8 or 9 changes to Obamacare that the president's actually signed into law. This being one of them. What this says is if you're a small employer and you have a high deductible and high copay plan, that there are caps under Obamacare that would get rid of almost all these plans. What this did was take the cap away.
But this comes as, of course, there's a debate internally in Republican ranks about whether their focus should be solely on repeal and replacement of the health care law or whether they should chip away at it. This is likely a recognition that a lot of Republicans feel like they're not going to be able to replace the law until perhaps Republicans in the White House in 2017. Jenna?
And Mike, what is the reaction from some top Democrats on this move?
Well, they seem to be encouraged by it. They seem open to the idea of trying to improve the health care law. They just don't want to get rid of it.
I hope it's a sign that rather than try to destroy and dismantle the health security that millions of Americans now have, that maybe there's a kernel of a sign from our Republican colleagues that they're going to try to work to make things better.
This is not likely the end of the fight. This is just the House Republicans trying to make this better for small businesses over probably the next 3 years or so. Jenna?
Mike, thank you.
Well, staying with Congress now, the president will play a big role in how Democrats fare in the midterm elections this November as either a friend or a potential obstacle to re-election. In Michigan, Democratic Congressman Gary Peters happily stood alongside the president at a deli talking about raising the minimum wage with voters. But as a Real Clear Politics article points out, the president is clearly more popular in some places than others. Some Democrats, like Florida Representative Joe Garcia and Alaska Senator Mark Begich, are actively campaigning against some of the president's policies. Still others, like North Carolina Senator Kay Hagan, are just trying to make the best of the massive fundraising and campaign infrastructure the president built in her state over the past 6 years. It is a state that Mitt Romney won in 2012. Joining us with a look at the president's effects, Lynn Sweet, the Washington bureau chief for the Chicago Sun-Times, and Jonah Goldberg, editor-at-large for National Review Online, also a Fox News contributor. Lynn, you point out that things have changed a great deal since 2008 when it comes to appearances alongside the president.
Absolutely. When he started traveling nationally, there wasn't a place in America, John, there wasn't a Democrat in America that wouldn't welcome him for his pizzazz, his fundraising appeal, and just the positive attention it got. Now, after years in the White House, that has changed. But what hasn't changed, and this is true for Democrats and Republicans, you do what you take in your state or your district to win, and that's why you have people making their own strategies now.
So why is it that so many Democrats are keeping him at arm's length, Jonah?
Because he's not particularly popular, and the trend lines seem to be going the wrong way for him. And moreover, Obamacare is still unpopular with the electorates that are really going to matter in these competitive midterm races. And it's not hard, since everyone, including the president now, is once again calling Obamacare, to link Obama with Obamacare, and that is something of an albatross for a lot of Democrats. It was very telling when Obama had his little victory pep rally for when they hit the 7 million number. There weren't a lot of Democrats who showed up for that ceremony because they don't want to be in ads sort of re-endorsing and reinforcing Obamacare.
You say that he is great as a candidate at selling himself, but not necessarily pulling anybody along with him, Jonah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of evidence, whether it's on a policy issue or on a political campaign, of him ever really moving the needle to get people. First of all, he gave over 50 speeches on Obamacare his first year in office. The thing has never been popular, still isn't popular. He campaigned heavily for lots of different people in 2010 and in off-year elections. There's no proof that it ever helped anybody. He is great at selling himself and very mixed or just basically bad at selling anything else.
Well, and it does seem, Lynn, I mean, witness the ceremony that's underway in the White House right now, the Fair Pay Act. It does seem the Democrats and the president want to talk about anything in Washington right now except Obamacare.
Well, he did talk a lot about Obamacare when he had the 7 million mark. And what they're doing today, and a lot of emphasis, this is the White House and the Democrats in coordination, is talking about equal pay. That's rallying the female base, which is usually a very strong part of the Democratic family. And I think you just can't look at all of this as one size fits all. You know, in Illinois, after Obama went to that deli in Michigan, he went to Chicago for fundraising, took out a lot of money there. The governor, in a big race for re-election, met him at the airport. He's been saying if there are Democrats that don't want the president's time, he's happy to take it. Yeah,
and another politically charged bill has just been passed by the Senate, the extension of unemployment insurance benefits, Jonah. It went over to the House, and it seems to have landed with a thud or maybe a yawn there.
Yeah, as of right now, the position of the Republican leadership is that there's not a huge groundswell in favor of extending unemployment benefits. There is a huge groundswell in favor of creating more jobs. And so the position that Boehner and the leadership have taken is we'll talk about extending unemployment benefits again if it comes with a good policy of creating jobs, something like Keystone Pipeline. They think that's a winning position. Time will tell whether it is. My suspicion, though, and you hear this from a lot of people on the Hill, is the Democrats would rather have the issue than the policy win, which is why they didn't bring it up in December when they could have really, when they had the House Republicans over a barrel. They'd much rather talk about extending this stuff, again, to go out after their own base rather than actually deliver on it.
Yeah, Lynn, they could have done it a lot earlier than this.
Well, I think it was hard. I don't think, Jonah, respectfully disagree. I think it was still hard. I mean, in a sense, we've been to this movie before on this issue when the benefits ended in December. The Democrats have tried several times to move it. You know, we could talk about the strategy or whatever. I don't think anything would have gotten the GOP-controlled House to pass it. I just don't see where there would have been that path. And right now, I do agree the Democrats have the issue more than they'll ever get a vote. Well, you know, they've started to...
Yeah, maybe a little negotiation.
At Christmas time, when everyone's going home, is a much easier time to call for, to call Republican Scrooges than, in the middle of the spring.
Jonah,
right, but Jonah, it wouldn't have gotten it passed, would it?
We just got the snow off the ground in Washington, D.C. Let's not envision more before something happens there. Lynn Sweet, Jonah Goldberg, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.